As far as starting off mild, muggy with a chance of some fog, and then afternoon showers. We'll talk more about that weather forecast and also a check of the tropics coming up. Celeste.
Richmond County officials responded to a drowning last night after a kayaker went into a pond and disappeared. They tell us it happened at Finnissy Pond off Gravel Pit Road. The sheriff's office says a group of adult kayakers were at the pond when one of them went under and did not resurface. A dive team responded to the scene last night and will be back to work this morning at 8 o'clock. Our crew went out there to learn more, but the road was blocked off and officials did not have more information to share. School is back in session, and keeping your kids safe in the classroom is top priority this year. Thursday was the first day of school for Richmond and Columbia counties. Tomorrow, Richmond County middle and high schoolers will go back. Wrdw spoke with Richmond County leaders about what this new year will look like.
We saw a lot of parents dropping their kids off for in-person learning for the first time in over a year, and everyone was masked up here. The district says that they're really focusing on a lot of those issues that kept kids out of the classroom last year. As students stepped off the bus for the first day of school, the decision for parents to hold their hand and walk them into school was a tough one.
For me, it was a toss-up. It's a little emotional.
Rachel Belcher has a kindergartner and a first grader. They stayed home last year.
It was a little struggle, especially with all the assignments and everything like that. We got through the year.
They hope this year will be better and safer.
I'm pretty sure that the school's going to keep them safe.
The district says they're more than prepared to do just that.
It's just an amazing feeling to have all of our students back in school. Our administrators, teachers, faculty, and staff, they are prepared to receive all of our students.
The biggest change you could see is communication between parents and their schools.
In the event that anything occurs, that we're going to just be very, very transparent in sharing information.
That information will come from weekly COVID meetings with the Department of Public Health and a local hospital group to watch COVID numbers. Richmond County says if someone in class does have COVID, the school will contact only people who are in close contact.
Typically, if we have a large number of students or teachers that have to be quarantined, that might be a trigger point for us to consider at-home learning.
And schools were learning from home because of staffing issues last year. The district says they added more than 300 first-year teachers.
We've gotten a very good response, so we don't believe that's going to be an issue this upcoming school year.
And parents say they're finally looking forward to a successful year.
Just as long as they keep the kids safe and teach them the best way they can.
In Richmond County, Wrdw on your side.
In Columbia County, parents will get a letter if their kids have to quarantine. As far as changing their protocols, they say there's no magic number or threshold. They'll be comparing data and recommendations nationally and locally. Since the county is not requiring masks, contact tracing has gotten a little more difficult. People who don't wear a mask can be at risk of being in close contact with a person who got COVID, and they'll have to quarantine. People who are wearing a mask won't. As far as virtual learning goes, a huge difference from last year. About 350 students are learning from home, and nearly 29,000 are back in person. As we kick off the new school year, if you're unsure about bus schedules and times, here's a look at the apps the districts offer to help you out. In Columbia County, it's called EduLog Parent Portal Lite School Bus Tracker. In Richmond County, it's called Stop Finder. Richmond County also has a hotline open for your bus questions. That number is there on your screen, 706-796-4777. In response to the recent spike in COVID cases, a reminder, University Hospital is changing its visitor policy next week. Starting tomorrow, only one visitor per patient is allowed a day. Visiting hours will be from noon to 6 p.m. And it's the latest hospital to make a change to policies. We've seen doctors, AU Health, and Aiken Regional do the same. We have details on all of this and the hospital's visitor policies on our website, wrdw.com. The city of Orangeburg just released new body cam footage from an incident involving an officer. Officer David Dukes has now been fired for using excessive force. Drew Angst looks at the officer's history.
Get on the ground! Newly released body camera video from the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety shows now former officer David Dukes stomping on 58-year-old Clarence Gaillard.
We get the video up, we look at it. I was horrified.
Now WIS getting a glimpse into Duke's law enforcement history, which raises concerns as to why the officer was hired by the agency in the first place. According to information from the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy, in 2012 Dukes was hired by the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, but because he could not pass the mandatory academy test, he was removed from the force. A year later, he rejoined the force, where he was a deputy for 5 years. Then in 2018, he was hired at the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety. He was with DPS for a year before going back to the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. Then last September, he was fired from the Sheriff's Office, but the reason is not clear. Following that termination, Dukes returned to DPS on October 12th, where he worked until he was fired and arrested for first-degree assault and battery.
Get on the ground!
I considered it to be a criminal matter, not something that would be a departmental investigation. Because, you know a criminal act when you see it.
According to the Justice Academy, policy requires Orangeburg DPS to reach out to the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department about Duke's termination, which they say they did.
The understanding that we had, he had a disagreement with a supervisor. That's the way it was explained to us.
Now, the Orangeburg Department of Public Safety is working to make changes so incidents like this don't happen, while also understanding that there is an impact that the incident has had on the community's trust.
When you have something like this happen, you have to get out there and evaluate everything that you're doing. Never rest on your laurels. Always look to grow as an organization. What happened was horrible. And I can tell you that the officers here want accountability.
Our sister station did reach out to the sheriff's office for comment on Duke's termination, but they said no one was available to provide any information. Helping women dress for success. That's the goal of Hope House's New You Boutique. If you don't know, Hope House is a local nonprofit organization that helps families faced with mental health and substance use challenges. Its New You Boutique offers nicer clothing options for women so they can look and feel their best on special occasions.
They get anything from shoes, clothes, stuff for job skills, stuff for job interviews. A lot of our women don't have anything when they come to Hope House, so it's kind of cool. They get to kind of feel better about themselves to get started in their treatment.
If you want to help donate to the New You Boutique, Hope House is accepting clothing for women ages 18 to 40. Donations are by appointment only, so you'll need to call to set up a drop-off time. We'll have that phone number listed there on your screen. It's 706-737-9879. Still ahead, she's bringing home the gold all the way from Tokyo. We'll hear from the Washington County basketball star who can now call herself an Olympic champ.
And we do have some isolated storm chances in the forecast, but also tracking the tropics heating up. We'll talk more about that coming up.
Area. A Washington County native can now add Olympic champion to her resume. This is a picture of Sanderville's own Alicia Gray posing with her teammates and their gold medals. She's the one on the very right. Her and her team just won gold in the first ever 3x3 basketball event. Our Nick Proto talked to her about what it feels like to be a champion.
Alicia Gray has been to the top of nearly every basketball mountain. A state champion in high school, a national champion in college, and now an Olympic champion in Tokyo.
The goal was to go out there, win a gold medal, and we accomplished it, and my mission was not to come home empty-handed, so it was great.
But she didn't climb these mountains alone. After winning the gold, Gray shouted out her family and hometown of Sandersville, Georgia.
They hit different when they asked about my parents, because my parents are the reason behind all this. Without my parents, there's no Alicia Gray.
While her immediate family couldn't be with her in Tokyo, she had some extended family standing by her side. Fellow Gamecocks Asia Wilson and Dawn Staley are also at the games, competing for a 5v5 gold medal.
The Gamecock ball run strong. They were so excited for me and happy for me, so it was real cool. Like, they supported me the whole Olympics.
She says other than winning the gold, her favorite part was the opening ceremonies.
You got to see like all the different athletes from different countries and even from the U.S. I got to meet Damian Lillard. I mean, he's my favorite point guard in the NBA, so I got to take a picture with him.
Grace says she's gotten an overwhelming amount of support and hasn't been able to get back to every message, but she says she's grateful for everyone who's come along for the journey. As for the gold medal itself, Grace says she's going to put that somewhere special.
Probably lock it up, honestly. Keep it safe.
In Augusta, Nick Proto, on your side.
Taking a live look over beautiful downtown Augusta. That sunrise is absolutely gorgeous. Someone get out your cell phone, snap a picture. I love it. So, Miguel, as people are heading out the door and they hopefully get to see this beautiful view, weather-wise, what are they working with?
Well, we're actually going to start off with a look at the tropics, but outside right now, that sunrise is definitely looking pretty beautiful across the CSRA, and we'll take another look at that in just a bit. But the tropics are heating up right now. We do have 3 areas of returns, and we'll see high temperatures in the low to mid-90s. Celeste?
Parents, our high team is doing some homework for you. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends each school have its own full-time nurse, but our I-team found that's not the case for thousands of our local kids. Meredith Anderson found that some of your kids could be returning to school without a nurse at all.
The I-team crunched data from 5 local districts in all. Let's start in Richmond County, where the I-team found the majority of school nurse vacancies. 10 schools have their own nurse, but more than 40 others share them. As you can see, all current openings affect schools that share a nurse. Richmond County schools also lost a considerable amount of nurses this year when compared to last. In all, 6 nurses are not returning to school this year. 3 retired, the other 3 left. The district tells the I-team, we are actively recruiting and interviewing nurses and have plans to outsource any nursing vacancies. As a whole, Richmond County has a much better school nurse ratio than Columbia County. Richmond has around 29,000 students. Columbia has grown to about 27,000. The CDC recommends 1 school nurse per 750 students, and with 33 nurses, Richmond County is around 4 or 5 nurses short of that. Columbia County, meanwhile, only has 19 nurses. To be in line with CDC recommendations, the district would need to hire 17 more, which would almost double its current number. There are no schools in Columbia County with its own full-time nurse. Instead, nurses are based at each elementary school but cover middle and high schools 4 hours a week. There is 1 vacancy at Greenbrier, so that means 3 schools could be affected in all. We're told the district is interviewing candidates for the job. Now to Aiken County, which has the most school nurses at 39. The district tells the I-team all elementary, middle, and high schools have a full-time dedicated nurse. There is only 1 vacancy. 8 of Aiken's previous school nurses are not returning this year. In neighboring Edgefield County, each school has its own full-time dedicated nurse. At 7 nurses, the district tells the I-team all positions are filled and all nurses are returning. Leaders in Burke County also tell the I-team they're in good shape with 5 full-time nurses, 1 medical assistant, and 2 substitute nurses. Each school has its own full-time nurse. All of them returned this year, and the only openings they have are for subs.
Keep in mind the recommendation for a nurse at every school came out years before the pandemic, and of course we have last year under our belts. The problem this year could be the Delta variant affecting a younger population. Experts urge all students to wear masks and suggest those eligible to get the vaccine do so. Live look out downtown. We got some summer weather patterns on repeat. Mikkel has more on that coming up in just a bit.
The tropics coming up in just a bit. Celeste?
Safety in schools, a big goal for our medical community as students head back to class. The I-team talked to a pediatric doctor treating the youngest COVID patients at Children's Hospital of Georgia. His caseload is quickly filling up with the Delta variant, and his concerns for local children are growing. 5 kids have been admitted this week with COVID, more than any other previous peak. And he tells our Laura Warren, this is only the beginning.
I think there's a little bit of anxiety again. about numbers looking the way they are and not just watching data but seeing hospitalizations of kids.
Our I-team requested the number of admissions to the Children's Hospital of Georgia for kids with COVID complications. You can see the numbers taper off in June, jump to 7 admissions in July, and most concerning to Dr. Eichenberger, nearly match last month's spike already by day 5 of this month, just as kids head back to the classroom.
This right now is worse than what was our peak. This is the most kids we've had with COVID.
But why? The Delta variant is a more contagious strain. A recent study from the UK showed children and adults under 50 were 2.5 times more likely to become infected with Delta. So even though the outcomes do not appear any more severe or deadly for kids, the likelihood of your child catching it goes up.
Kids definitely can spread this one more easily.
We're back here in it. Our kids cannot get vaccinated. What are you telling parents to do?
There's a big debate on masks at school. My kids, all went back to school today. They're all wearing masks today.
The majority of cases they're seeing right now,
it does seem to be the older adolescent age group, the ones that could be vaccinated. But we're also seeing the younger ones, infants even.
Many with underlying health conditions. But what he said next may change my child care plans for the fall.
About a third, yeah.
Have been pretty healthy children.
You don't think about their health on a daily basis. They do everything that other kids do.
That's, as a parent, concerning.
We all weigh risks every day. But his best advice to parents:
don't live in fear, live on purpose. Do what you can to reduce your risk, knowing that we are never going to get our risk to zero, but we can definitely reduce it through very easy, kind of common sense things.
We ran the vaccination numbers. As of last Thursday, the Georgia Department of Health found more teens are vaccinated in Columbia County than the general population. 42% of teens aged 12 to 19, compared to 37% of the entire population in Columbia County. In Richmond, 31% of teens are vaccinated, which is more in line with the general population, which stands at 32% vaccination rate overall in Augusta. One hospital in our area is seriously considering allowing booster shots. AU Health has Fort Gordon. He says he's also working to get another $3.6 million to update Fort Gordon's Signal Schoolhouse, and also to build a cyber and communications network training facility. We'll keep you updated on all of that bill's progress. There's nothing better than seeing our hometown on the big screen. The new Suicide Squad movie came out Friday and features the old jail on Walton Way in several scenes. The movie is a sequel or reboot to the 2016 movie. Definitely something to watch maybe if you got some downtime this weekend. And a big celebration for a local man who has been fighting to return. Hear his journey to get back on his 2 feet. Up next.
And the tropics are heating up. We are cast coming up in just a bit. Celeste.
One man is checking out of the Walton Rehabilitation Hospital after a 3-month-long stay. Isaac Bowen went to the hospital for heart surgery in May, but had some serious health complications after. The complications caused him to require inpatient rehabilitation to regain his strength and learn to walk again. After 2.5 weeks of inpatient therapy, he was able to walk for the first time in 12 weeks. Isaac says he had to be brought to life twice and says he hopes he can inspire others.
I want to give hope and courage to other people. This facility, for example, it was a series of miracles and people working behind the scene that helped us to get back here, and especially to Walton Rehab. This place has been, it's been a godsend.
Isaac is also a retired pastor after serving the New Hope Worship Center for 45 years. And they make sure thousands of families here in the 2-state have enough to eat. Coming up, our Richard Rogers sits down one-on-one with Golden Harvest Executive Director.